Okay, I think we're back online. Thank you for your patience. We are learning a lot tonight. We've got new equipment arriving tomorrow, so the Sunday services, when they're streamed, will be just awesome. Let me try and pick up again. We'll try to keep going, but if we drop off again, I think we'll probably call it a night. So let's go. We were just, having read the passages, I was just reading some passages from the New Testament. I read from 1 Peter 2, verse 9, and I'm just reading from Revelation chapter 1, verse 5. Let me read that one again. John addressing the 7 churches. For him who loves us and has freed us from our sins by his blood and has made us to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God and Father. And we're observing about how these New Testament scriptures pick up the language of Exodus 19, and they pick up the story of Exodus, of deliverance, and then the transformation as the people of God, having been born again, as it were, are trained to walk. They're being shaped with a new identity. Listen to Revelation 5, the 24 elders, the living creatures, their new song ending in these words. You've made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on earth. They will reign on earth. Discipleship, training to reign, following Jesus, apprenticed Jesus, who is the master at living the kingdom life, and learning from him in every respect how to live the kingdom life well. Okay, 3 things that I want to draw your attention to. Passage, 3 bits of language, and then to go on and reflect a tiny bit. 10 Commandments, they're 4. First thing, we are God's treasured possession. So that's Exodus chapter 19, and we're looking at verse 5. Treasured possession. Next, that we are kingdom, royal. We carry authority. Next, that we are priests, that we mediate the presence. We carry the presence. And we remember, don't we, that Exodus is all about God's abiding presence and how it might be possible that the people of God could live in the presence, that the presence could make its home, make his home in the midst of the treasured possessions, kingdom, priests. All there, Exodus 19, verses 5, 6. Now I want you to just listen, if you will, to John chapter 13. This is Jesus, the foot washing episode. Listen to this language. It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of. Listen to these words. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he'd come from God and was returning to God. Listen again. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he'd come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal. Now, at the point of just reading that, Jesus? Which story? Who story he was living out? Treasured possession, loved, chosen. Kingdom, authorized, missioned, invited into that primal partnership. Adam and Eve, vice regents, teasing the garden into life, perfecting that which was made good, bringing the world into its fullness in partnership. Then priests mediating present. So here's the question. In this world of identity, in this expressive individualism, in this world where being who we are is the natural way to be, living out how I feel about my identity bolstered by how it's resisted, the mindset of the victim comes. You know who we here? God's entering covenant relationship. Some given deep relation. And all of this for the sake of the other nations, the sake of the sake of showing up. I was struck in just reflecting on identity a little, and there isn't really time to do much work on this tonight. I'm going to invite you to carry on. The identities and the sense of identity that people are working with all around us on our front lines, they're inherently unstable. They need somebody from outside to validate, need likes, tell us who we are and what we are. They're inherently unstable because out. One of the prevailing effects or sickness is an epidemic of shame. Listen to this. The self is a quote from Alan Mann and a book called Atonement for a Sinless Society. The self has a sense that it is defective and has a basic flaw that ensures its unacceptability and rejection by those whom it loves. Shame thus contains a fear of abandonment, loss of love, and so loss of self. To put it simply, if I know the story I'm telling you is a cover story, then the most sensible thing to do is to presume that the self story you are narrating does not tell me who you really are either. Chronically shamed live in the shadow of their cover story. The result is that shamed people are afraid to merge their lives, their personal stories, with others because of a fundamental lack of trust in relating. Shame. Remember that old shade distinction. Guilt says I've done something. Shame says I am. Shame is. Father God here rescues, restores, forgiving, passing over, accepting, adopting, training in righteousness, giving a new identity and releasing. To read that, Exodus chapter 19. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. If you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the earth is mine, the whole earth, you will be for me a kingdom. Kings. Kingdom of priests. And a holy nation. So the last observation, this holy nation, distinct, separate, different from the nation, and how different. And command. And look at the opening language. Exodus 20. And God spoke all these words. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. See, that is such an important context, preface to the laws come, because it frames the freedom charter. We don't obey the laws, get a life. As we live a life, you see, it's relationship before redemption or freedom before guideline. So what the Ten Commandments come, the kind of identity, describe character, people of deep shape. No, don't we? Jesus, in that opening passages of the Sermon on the Mount, after we get to the attitude, Jesus is saying, I haven't come to abolish any little, but I've come to and the fulfillment of it's like you've got. It's expressed. Jesus teaches through the Sermon on love God as an expression, deepest identity. The old Wesleyan teaching looked at through the new covenant. I'll put my spirit, move you. Wesleyans looked at the and read them through Jesus and the Spirit promises. You will. So, as I prepare to hand you over to the questions booklet, know that through and by the Spirit, live the freedom life nicely. I'm guessing. How are you thinking of showing with vulnerable neighbors? Are you showing? I think one of the transitions that's coming with all this self-isolation is everything's going to be hyper-local. Showing up. Greatest so in when we show transforms God who gives us purpose. So, okay, enough rambling. Thank you for sticking with us through our technical difficulties. I'd love you to take these booklets. And here's some of the questions I want you to focus on. I'm on page 57. Question 8. This is about living it out. How would you respond to someone who concluded from a reading of the commandments in Exodus that God is out to spoil our fun? Question 9. How do the values of the daily context in which you find yourself in any given week, your workplace, your neighborhood, your leisure activity, or even the new world of coronavirus, how do the values that you find there overlap or contradict the values we see in the Ten Commandments? Question 10. Having declared Christians to be a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, Peter calls on his readers to live such good lives among the pagans. So what's it going to look like? Last encouragement, prayer, praise, thank God for making you his treasured possession, for delivering you out of slavery, for setting you up. So be blessed. St. Paul's TV signing off. And be back next week, and the technicalities will have been all sorted out. Elijah has promised. God bless. Good night.